Welcome back, option traders, and thank you for choosing Money Alpha. In this video, we're gonna go over what's like being a put option buyer, a put option seller, and we're gonna talk about how does assignment work on the option seller and how common is it? Is that something that happens once a year? Is it something that happens every weekend? We're gonna go over those ideas today. So let's begin this video. Before we do, please make sure to watch the previous one where we talked about what's like being a call option buyer, call option seller. Also talked about the risk profile. It's a good video to warm you up before you watch this one. And if you just came from that video, I'd like to say you're awesome and keep up all the hard work. So let's get started. Right now we're on Tesla. To keep it alive, a hypothetical example, and we're gonna choose one of the following expiration cycles. I'm going to go for something at random, the 19th of January, 2024, with 22 days left until expiration. I'm going to simply click on it to drop it down, and I'm going to pick a strike price at random, and I'm going to go for the 250 strike price. I can either become a buyer or become a seller. I'm going to start off being a put option buyer. I'm going to click on the buy, and I'm going to round it up to $10. That's the price per share. And you should know whether you're an option buyer, an option seller, you get to choose at what price you want your position to get filled in, regardless of the market price. That doesn't mean you're going to get filled at the 10 when the market is on the 9.2, but I'm just telling you have the option to choose at what price you want it. And if you want to own this option contract right here, it will cost you $1,000. And if you don't know why $1,000, I remind you this is the price per share. 10 times 100 is $1,000. So let's talk about what's like being a put option buyer. Me, the put option buyer, is paying $1,000 to the put option seller for the option to sell 100 shares of Tesla at the 250 strike price in the coming 22 days. And yes, I said the word sell. And whenever I say that, people will go like, what are you talking about? I don't even own shares of Tesla. How am I selling them? I'll be like, right there. When it comes to options trading, if you have that $1,000, for example, you can enter and exit as much as you want. Options trading is flexible. When it gets to exercising or executing your right as an option buyer, this is where it gets tricky. So if you decided to exercise your right, and by the way, some brokers have it different. Some broker has it as a button. Some broker have it as an email box, or some broker you have to call them. So let's say you call up that broker and you'll be like, hey, I want to exercise my option contract. They'll be like, wonderful. What option contract is it? You're probably going to say it's a put. And if they tell you, they'll be like, do you own the 100 shares of Tesla? And if you say no, then the broker will tell you, well, you have to own 100 shares of Tesla. To make this as a good deal, let's say Tesla, instead of at the 253, it's at the $200. So you go buy 100 shares of Tesla, which will cost you $20,000. Once you got those shares, you tell your broker, hey, I have those shares. The broker will be like, wonderful. Now you have the option to sell them at the 250. And who buys them from you? The seller. The seller has to buy the 100 shares from you at the 250 strike price. And the seller took in credit of $1,000 to provide this contract right here, to be on the other end of that contract. And how does the broker know the seller have the money to buy those 100 shares? We'll talk about that later in this video. So you're making right now, once you sell those to the seller, you're making $50 per share. Is that correct? If you said no, that's the correct answer. It's not. It's actually $40 per share. Why is that? It's because you paid $1,000. If you want to know what's your break even on the put side, you subtract instead of adding. So the strike price minus the premium equal to 40. On the call side, we usually add. On the put side, we subtract. Sounds good? So this is your break even, and that's why you make $40 per share. So now let's get rid of all this, and let's go talk about the risk profile. As you guys can tell, You should be able to read the risk profile by now. Our maximum loss is the amount of money that we paid, and our max profit is infinite. And I just want to talk about what's the downside of being a put option buyer. Look at Tesla right now. Tesla right now, I believe, is at the 253.80, right? Tesla, if Tesla stayed in this position right now by expiration, you are losing $1,000. What's the negative about being a put option buyer is time is always against you. Meaning, when you're a put option buyer, your position is sensitive. It's going to require more maintenance. You have to be on top of the market all the time because you want Tesla. You're pretty much telling Tesla, hey, this is my break even right here. I want you to go down as fast as possible so I can make my money. So being an option buyer is generally stressful, whether it's on the call side, on the put side. And both option buying on calls and puts behave the same way. And I'm not talking about direction. What I'm talking about is both are time sensitive and both are direction sensitive. See, as you guys can tell from this chart, the direction is different. If Tesla goes down to the 220, reading the left bottom corner right here, you are making, I'm going to round the numbers, $2,100 by today's date and $2,000 by expiration. Similarly, if Tesla decided to shoot up to the 270, you're losing $1,000 by expiration, and by today's date, $550. And if Tesla stayed where it is today, you're losing $40, and by expiration, you're losing $1,000. So let's go look at the chart. And this is our break-even line right here. This is 241. And this line right here represents our expiration date. And this is how much Tesla right now. It's at 253.18. So let's talk about what is the best situation for the put option buyer. You guys should know it by now, which is Tesla doing something like this. It's going all the way down and just bam, going somewhere around here. That's the dream for the put option buyer, and it does it as fast as possible because that way they can hold it until expiration or they can close their position early. It doesn't matter because it's profitable anyways. If Tesla does something like this and goes back down, that's good. Anything below, I would say this red line, anything below where Tesla ends below this red line, you're doing good. So let's put, this is your money zone right here. Okay. So now let's get rid of this and go to the, what's the worst case? Tesla does something like this, shoots up. Tesla can do something like this, goes up, and then goes back down near expiration. Because it went down later in the expiration cycle, you are losing money right here. Sounds good? Tesla can do something like this, trade, then go back up, you are losing money. If you did not exit early in the market, you are losing your position. So let's get rid of all this. And let's talk about what's like being a put option seller. Let's click X, go to simulate trades, and we're gonna select on the sell side. And I'm gonna round it up to 10, which means $1,000. So what does this position mean, me, the put option seller? So what does this position mean? Me, the put option seller, is getting it a credit of $1,000 to buy 100 shares of Tesla at the 250 strike price and the coming 22 days, and the keyword right here, when obligated. If I'm not obligated, I don't have to buy it. So if my strike price was ended by expiration out of the money, that means it ended worthless. It is zero. That means I get to keep that $1,000 and that's it. That means you made $1,000 in 22 days. Sounds good? And that's per one contract. So if you want to enter as much contract as you want, you can. Now back to our question that I asked earlier in this video. How does the broker know you have the money to buy those shares if you got assigned? Look at the buying power effect right here. You need to have in your account a minimum of $25,000 to enter this position. That's the broker's way to ensure that, hey, this man has the money or this beautiful lady has the money if she got or he got assigned. Sounds good? There's other brokers out there that goes 50-50 with you for the buying power effect. For example, like Tasty Trade, that's one of the brokers we use. Why do they do that? It's because they want to make more money out of you. The way a broker makes money from you is the more you trade, the more money they make. They make the money through commissions. And the more money they leave in your account, the more tempted you are to place trades, the more money they will make because you're trading. So when a broker goes 50-50 with you on that buying power effect, that doesn't mean they're going to pay the other person once they get assigned. What it means is it just on the start of this position, you're not paying as much buying power effect. If your position became sensitive as time passed, that means, let's say you have the 250, right? If Tesla slowly started trading closer and closer and closer, that buying power effect will become 60%, 70%, 80% until it's like a high amount of money. If that moment where the buying power effect becomes more than the amount of money you have in your account, you will get an email from your broker. And by the way, I got this email twice. What does the email say? A broker will tell you, hey, you have 3 days to do the following. Either exit your position, you either fund your account, or you either buy a call. And how does buying a call help your position? Look at the buying power effect right now. It's 25,000. If I simply just go to the 245 call and I click on it to buy it, I'm going to round it down to 700. My buying power effect went dramatically down to the $500. Why is that? Because in case if I got assigned on the 250, I can simply exercise the 245 and I'll take the loss of the difference, which is $500. And when you enter your position like that, it does something. So if I click away from this position, and this is what's like being a put option seller, our max profit is $1,000 and our max loss is infinite. I bring back this position. My max loss is $200, but my max profit is $300. So this is the cost of buying a put option contract. It takes away money from your profits and puts it right here to protect you in case you lose money. So it might sound like a better deal, but that's for your decision to make. If you want to know what's the better way to trade, you have to become a member for me to answer that question for you. So I'm going to go back to simulated trades. I'm going to click on exit, and we're going to talk about why I favor selling options. Because look at this right now. Your position is already in a favorable position. Remember with the put option buyer, he had to make his money if Tesla went below the current market price. So you're pretty much telling Tesla, please go down as fast as possible. When you're a put option seller, this is the benefit right here. Look at the left bottom corner. If you just simply hold your position, and I think Tesla's at the 218, 247. So if you pretty much hold your position until expiration, you're making $1,000. And even Tesla went against your position, let's say from the 253 and went down all the way to the 243, for example, right? Even if it went against you at the start, you will lose money. You will lose 473. But if you just hold your position, you'll end up making money. You may end up making $334. See the difference between becoming put option buyer, put option seller? You can notice right away that being a put option buyer, it's more sensitive, it's more draining, it's stressful. Put option selling, you're pretty much relaxing. You're telling Tesla, please, this is my line in the sand. Do not touch it. So let's go to the chart and let's see how that looks like. So this is Tesla's chart right here. So your profit zone is bam. So Tesla can do whatever it wants in this area. You're making money. Tesla even can do something like this because time is with us. It allows us to hold, and then Tesla goes back up. You are making money. The worst case scenario for the put option seller is the best case scenario for the put option buyer, which Tesla crashes and does something like this. And if Tesla does something like this, it slowly goes down. And by expiration, it just ends up below your line. That's not good. You'll end up losing. So if you're around this area, you're making your money, I believe you should exit your position. Always exit when you're making good amount of profit. Don't be greedy. This is how you lose your money. So let's go back and clear things out and talk about how common is assignment. So if my position does something like this, and I'm right here, does that mean I'm getting assigned? The answer is no. Why? In my, I would say, 6 years, I'm about to be 7, in trading experience and options trading, I have been assigned only once. And it happened in my newbie phases when I was first getting started. And luckily, I was already had a call bought, so I lost around $500. It is what it is. It's a learning lesson. Why did my position get assigned? What's nice about being an option seller, you can read ahead. If you can see the storm coming, you can just make a U-turn and turn around, which pretty much means you can exit your position. Assignment usually happens when your position is something like this. It's 1 day away from expiration and you're deep in the money, you're gonna get assigned. Okay? That's a bad place to be. Assignment usually happens on the last day of expiration, and generally all my members are never in a position like this. Nobody's ever deep in the money and 1 day away from expiration. For an option seller, that's like the worst thing that can happen to you. That's very bad. And that's why we recommend using our semi-automated system. It can tell when a storm is coming. So it will tell you, hey, this is the time to adjust your position so you don't risk being in the money and losing your money. I got this question one time. When I first read it, I'm like, that's a silly question. But then later, I'm like, yeah, it makes sense. It's a good question. Somebody once asked me, he said, if I'm an option seller and the option buyer exits his position, does that mean the contract is terminated? I'm like, okay, you're looking at it the wrong way totally. Because when that option buyer sells his option contract, who is buying it from him? Another option buyer. So it's not the option seller versus the option buyer. It's more of the option seller versus the option contract and the option buyer versus the option contract. Sounds good? Same way when the option seller exits his position, it doesn't mean it's terminated for the option buyer. Pretty much that means somebody bought it from him at a lower price or at a higher price in case he take the loss. So, and some people get confused over this. I'm just going to go over it real quick. When you're an option buyer, so let's get rid of this and get rid of this. So when you're an option buyer, let's say you bought the 250, you generally, what's better for you is for the premium to increase as time passes. This is what's better for you. This is how you make your money because you get to sell it at the higher price. When it comes to being an option seller, let's get rid of this and go to selling. You're better off where it decreases. Why? Because you get to buy it back for a cheaper price. Because you get in a credit of, let's say, $1,000. Then from that $1,000, you get to buy it back for 500. You get to keep that 500. And that's how the transactions usually work. Now that you know, assignment is something that happens very rarely. It's nothing to worry about. I want to give you guys some intel about option selling. As you guys notice, I have a bias towards option selling. And pretty much I make it obvious in the videos. I favor option selling more than option buying. Although sometimes with option buyers, they can make more money than us. But as I mentioned in the video, it's more stressing, it's more stressful. Option selling is the great way to do it in case if you're not a full-time trader, you have a part-time job or you have a full-time job where you're working, or whether you're a mother, whether you're a father, you take care of a family. It's definitely something you can have on the side and it keeps growing. And aiming for 25% return on capital is something we have done consistently and then something achievable. And one of the most popular emails I would get is the following. I have $13,000 to $15,000 saved up. Should I join Money Alpha? As much I would love to say yes, and I love to have everybody's business, but at the end of the day, I want to always do what's best for my customers. And what they end up answering is, I'll tell you how it works, and then you decide if that works out for you financially. Number one, our worst case scenario. Our worst case scenario for us as option seller is a market crash. Market crash tends to happen once every 10 years. And how much money are we going to lose during a market crash? We expect to lose 25% of our account. We're talking here worst case. Why 25%? Usually when the market goes down a bit, we tend to hold our position, then the market does a reversal, and then we exit for profit. If the market did not do a reversal, we would adjust it, which would give us more time, then we can exit for a profit. But during a market crash where we adjust, and even during market crashing, like the one we saw in the year 2020, the market had a week or two of reversal, and that could really help our position. That could save us pretty much, and then we can re-enter again. However, during a market crash and there is no reversal, just a brutal fall down, you're gonna adjust, and there's gonna be a one moment where you're losing 25% of your account. And once you reach that point, we tell our members, that's it, just bite the bullet, and it's time to move on. And by the way, the semi-automated system takes care of all that. It tells you when to adjust. It can help you out during market crashing. It's there for you. So you're pretty much during a market crash, you would end up losing 1 year of earnings. So if you've been trading for us for 5, 6 years, just one bad year. Number two, our best case scenario. Our best case scenario for us as option sellers is one of our members managed to achieve 39% return on capitals. More power to them. We're happy for them. And whenever we tend to say that statement, I remember one gentleman, when he was sharing it, commented, how come that person made 39% and I just made 28, and I've been following the exact same thing you guys do? It's not because that person is treated specially. Everybody here is special to us, and we love all our members and we appreciate them dearly. It's just that that person managed to enter in a better time than everybody else. That doesn't mean there's a bad time, there's a good time to enter. Any time is always a good time to enter the market. It's just that person just entered in a better time rather than a good time. What is a better time? A better time is a moment where the market has been going on for a long time, where there is no sudden movements. The more of no sudden movements, the better for us as option sellers. And that person who was complaining, he still made 28% return on capital, which is a nice number. Number three, treat your broker account like a savings account or a Roth IRA. It's a place where your money is constantly working for you. It might require a bit more maintenance than a savings account or a Roth IRA, but because of that small maintenance, you're making more money. And the best part about this is when you reach $300,000, you can trade full time. Now it depends on how many kids you have, if you paid off your house, and which country or which state you live in. But since you have managed to achieve 25% return on capital consistently, $300,000, 25% return on capital, that's $75,000 a year. So with enough money, eventually you can trade full time, and that which allow you to spend more time with your kids, since you're going to use the semi-automated system. And this will probably take 10 minutes in one whole week. And finally, if you have that capital requirement, consider joining. Take advantage of that 1 week free trial. You got nothing to lose. Sign up, see how it goes. If you like it, you're more than welcome to stay. And by the way, most members who take advantage of that 1 week free trial, they end up staying. And if you have any hesitations, please email us and we'll be more than happy to clear things out for you. And when you sign up, you get one-on-one sessions with me throughout your first couple weeks until you get the hang of it. Once you get the hang of it, I promise you, you won't see my face. You won't watch any of my videos again. All you would do is just use that semi-automated system and let it do the heavy lifting for you. And that's it for this video. I hope you guys learned what's like being a put option buyer, put option seller. We talked about assignment and we talked about some intel about option selling. If you have any questions, please watch this video once or twice. And if you still do, don't worry about it. Just send us an email and we'll be more than happy to clear things for you. That's it for this video. Thank you guys so much, and I'll see you on the next one. Take care.